Okay, so let's start the session on group discussion, and I'll be providing you a topic on GD, and each one of you will be given opportunity to introduce that topic to the group, and you introduce in a way you are going to introduce in the actual group discussion, and you know the structure of GD. There's a structure. The second part of discussion, anyone can initiate that. And the third part will be the conclusion, and in the conclusion also anybody can enter and start the conclusion. That is how it is going to be. Now the topic which I'm going to give you today is a very relevant topic and very interesting or important topic, I must say. And that topic is in news, nowadays especially. And you need to, sometimes the topic given is very generic. जैसे इतना generic होता है that you can take that topic in any direction. Suppose I say engineering. No, only GD topic is engineering. So you can take it in any direction, engineering as a profession, engineering good or bad, engineering requirement, anything. Similarly, I'll give you a very generic topic, very general statement. So it is, you have the opportunity to take it in any direction and then do the justification with that particular direction. Now, let me give you the topic here. And the topic provided to you for the GD today is freedom of speech in India. Freedom of speech in India. And I told you there's a reason why GD topic is given. Maybe it is currently in some kind of news or relevance. So you need to make some kind of linkages there. So freedom of speech in India. Freedom of speech in India. Yeah, Om. Freedom of speech in India. As I told you, each one of you will get this chance to introduce, or will we go for it? Yeah, Nilendra, I think we can start with you.
Okay, good evening, friends. My name is Nilendra Pandey, and I've got the opportunity to introduce the topic to you all, which is freedom of speech in India. In my opinion, this topic is of current relevance, and it is slightly a sensitive issue. A lot of debate has been going on in this topic since a few months. So I have divided this topic into three categories. The first one is, let us try to understand the definition, what is meant by the freedom of speech. In my opinion, it is just that every citizen is allowed to express his or her opinion in any medium, whether it is through communication or through print, etc. So this one is the definition. And the second part is the need and necessity. Why are we talking about freedom of speech? Why it is necessary in today's world, and so on. And the third part is its applicability, whether freedom of speech is absolute or there are some restrictions on it. So I think if we will discuss on these 3 points, we can have a good discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Now I go to Mayank Jha.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to introduce this topic to you. The topic for today is freedom of speech in India. So यहाँ पे हम लोग फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच हम लोग को मिलता है राइट टू फ्रीडम, जो कि आर्टिकल 19 का क्लॉज 1 में लिखा हुआ है, विच हैज सम रीजनेबल रेस्ट्रिक्शंस। सो इस टॉपिक पे हमारा डिस्कशन रहेगा, और ये हमारे करंट रेलेवेंस में भी है, क्योंकि अभी कुछ हीटेड आर्ग्यूमेंट्स भी हुआ है जो कि काफी सेंसिटिव है। इट हैज सम रिलीजियस एंगल ऑल्सो। सो हम लोग इस पे फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच के डेफिनेशन पे बात करेंगे, क्या व्हाट इज मेंट बाय फ्रीडम, and why, what is the need of freedom, rightly said by Nilendra, and finally we'll get some consensus, I believe that. So thank you.
Okay, now we go to Bhupendra.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. I am Bhupendra Kumar Lava, and I'm glad to start the discussion. Let me introduce the topic. Friends, today the topic given to us is freedom of speech in India. So I would like to start with a quote from it is by Voltaire, and it comes in editorial page of Rajasthan Purika. It says, हो सकता है मैं आपके विचारों से सहमत ना हो पाऊं, लेकिन मैं आपके विचार रखने के अधिकारों की मरते दम तक रक्षा करूंगा. So we can understand from this that well, you agree or disagree whatsoever that is your concern, but a person is allowed, has rights to speak and express himself or herself. And in our constitution provides us these rights, that we can speak, we can express ourselves however we want, till a certain limitations. Like mostly we can express ourselves, that is given by our constitution. So let us discuss on this, that what are the rights those are given by constitution to us, and how we can use them to uplift ourselves, and where those are limited, where people are using them wrong, and how can we avoid that. So I invite all of you to participate in the discussion, and let us begin.
Okay, now Ankit Singh.
Thank you, sir, for offering me the opportunity to start the discussion. Friends, the topic for today's discussion as such is freedom of speech in India. Is of, I think, current relevance and a bit sensitive also. First of all, freedom of speech, we all know it comes under Article 19 under the subcategory to express oneself. And I also want to mention famous lines from movies like with great power comes great responsibility, and I think it applies to in this case also. It's that is if we are given some rights, we are responsible to use it in the right way, in an ethical way, and not to misuse the given rights. And hence I would like to invite the participants and fellow friends to participate in the further discussion.
Okay, Rajat.
Good evening, friends. My name is Rajat. I'm glad to start the group discussion. And today's topic for our group discussion is freedom of speech in India. First, we should know what is the background behind this. As in my opinion, it is very important part of our constitution. जैसे कि हम ये इस बात से पता लगा सकते हैं कि जब 1975 में नेशनल इमरजेंसी लगी थी, तब उस टाइम इंदिरा गांधी गवर्नमेंट ने सारे राइट्स को, जो भी हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स होते हैं, उन्हें क्या कर दिया था, खत्म कर दिया था नेशनल इमरजेंसी के टाइम. लेकिन उस टाइम आर्टिकल 19 के अंदर जो फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच है, वो भी उस टाइम हमारा जो था ये रद्द कर दिया था. लेकिन लेटर 1978 में एक अमेंडमेंट लाया गया, उसके अकॉर्डिंग नेशनल इमरजेंसी के केस में भी अब ये फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच को हम रिमूव नहीं कर सकते या रिस्ट्रिक्ट नहीं कर सकते. तो इससे हम ये पता लगा सकते हैं कि इसकी कितनी इंपॉर्टेंस है आज के टाइम पे. और ये आजकल काफी न्यूज में भी रह रहा है. जैसे हमने कुछ पहले के न्यूज में इंसिडेंट्स में सुना होगा, कुछ कंट्रोवर्सीज हुई थी इससे रिलेटेड. तो हम इसे इस वे में डिस्कस कर सकते हैं कि ये फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच किस तरीके से, क्या क्या वेरियस मीडियाज हैं जिसमें फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच है, और किन पर्टिकुलर वेज में गवर्नमेंट इसे रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर सकती है बेसिकली. And that's all from my side, and I would like to invite all of you to start the group discussion.
Okay, Prabhu.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me opportunity to introduce the topic which we have given, that is freedom of speech in India. So basically, the meaning of the freedom of speech in the planet, everyone have right to express their own ideas, thoughts, and opinions, and because of this, everyone can improve their personal and life skills. And because of this freedom of speech, there is so many speakers who influence their nation, their youth for building a better nations. So I'm sure we will go going through a healthy discussion with our friends. So we will going to discuss on this topic with my colleagues. Thank you.
Okay, Randhir Kumar.
Thank you everyone for giving me an opportunity to introduce the topic, freedom of speech and expression in India. So basically it is given in the fundamental rights of the Article 19 in the Indian Constitution. So in this topic, we will basically, I have divided into categories like what are the types of freedom of speech we are having in India, like it is absolute or restricted. What are the consequences of absolute freedom of speech, and its effect on the social harmony and the state security. So a very good topic to discuss, and different people might have the different opinions. So I'm opening the house for the to participate in this discussion, so that we can reach to the fruitful results. Thank you.
Okay, so I think everybody has introduced the topic to the group, and now we enter the second part in which you people are to discuss among yourself. To score high in this part, each one of you should contribute. You should speak. You should speak very relevant to the topic, no deviation. You should let others also speak and maintain the decorum in the house. Maybe it has to be a smooth discussion. If you find somebody not participating, you can bring him in and you can take his views also, so that in the third part, that is conclusion, we reach some consensus and we come out with some very good points from your side. So I open the house for discussion among all of you now.
So
friends, let us
हमारा
first
जो
discuss
what are the
हमारा
various
freedom का क्या
freedoms
होता
that
है
are
उसके
given
ऊपर
under this freedom of speech in
freedom
India.
होता क्या है वो उसके
Basically,
ऊपर
there
पहले
are 6
discuss
freedoms
कर
which are
सकते हैं हम लोग.
provided under this freedom of speech in India in Article 19 Clause 1, and we can discuss these various freedom of speech, and in this way we can proceed. So I would like to invite
तो
all of you
रजत
to
ऐसा
discuss
होता है
in
ना
this.
इसमें कि फ्रीडम क्या होता है, पहले उसके ऊपर हम लोग डिस्कस कर लेते हैं कि हाउ
Everybody-
शुड वी एक्सप्रेस इसमें, और इसमें क्या स्पीच ही होता है कि हमारा टॉपिक है फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, तो क्या हम लोग सिर्फ बोल के
मतलब है क्या फ्रीडम है क्या जिसमें हम क्या क्या
वो हम
बोल सकते हैं?
क्या क्या हो सकता है,
जैसे
क्योंकि
कि
एक्सप्रेस भी कर सकते हैं अलग अलग
जो-
माध्यम से,
हाँ।
प्रिंट माध्यम से, मीडिया के माध्यम से हम लोग कैसे उसको अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हैं लोगों
Yes,
के सामने, और खुद का भी एक पॉइंट
views
ऑफ
can be
व्यू सबके
expressed
सामने रख सकते
irrespective
हैं,
of any
राइट?
medium, whether it
Yes.
is print or through a painting or through any form of communication or through TV. In any medium it can be done.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
it is all written in
But
This is not
फ्रीडम
only
में
just
होता
because
क्या है
of
ना,
mouth. This
यस
this is not
फ्रीडम में क्या होता है ना, फ्रीडम की वजह से
according to my
हमारा
opinion,
जो
in
यूनियन,
India, the freedom of expression should not be absolute, because if the freedom of expression should be
It is
absolute,
not absolute.
not-
it is not
we should-
absolute. In
we-
Constitution
we-
itself it is written that it is
Yes,
not
I think
absolute.
we should
There are instances
we should first
when the
discuss
government
on the
can
freedom
restrict the
itself.
freedom of speech.
Yes, we should
But
first
there are
discuss what
very
is freedom. So what I'm trying to say
Yes,
is that what freedom gives is a space for new ideas and alternate opinions to stay in this country. So भूपेंद्र ने बहुत अच्छी बात कही है कि शुरू में इंट्रोडक्शन में
Like
कि
this
वो हमारा काउंटर ओपिनियन हो सकता है, बट हम उस चीज को रेस्पेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि हम लोग काउंटर ओपिनियन इस कंट्री में रख सकते हैं, and that is the power of
Yes,
democracy.
I
Yes, man,
agree
to
with
take
you
your
that
point forward,
this point we can see in
put
the
some points in
parliament
context
also.
of India, because the topic today
opposition
is
also plays
freedom
the
of
same
speech
role.
in India. So I would like to say that our country is a democracy, and opposition
Yes.
is one of the main pillars of
Yes,
democracy.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so
Like freedom of speech can be
freedom
seen
of
there.
speech is
That
necessary, because when opposition will criticize the government, then only we can have a vibrant democracy.
Opposition acts as a
It is
rain
important
on
for
the
the
government.
democracy also.
उससे क्या होता है, कंट्रोल करने में काम
criticize the
आता है, right?
government,
Yeah, yes.
not only
The
the
government has
politician.
to work according to the
It
people.
It is
नहीं
provided
तो
to each and
एब्सोल्यूट
every
गवर्नमेंट
citizen
हो
of
जाएगा
India.
पूरे कंट्री
Yes,
में, right?
autocratic
Yes,
form of
exactly,
government,
Autocratic,
there is-
like
there
in
will be no freedom
China,
of speech.
people have no freedom of expression or speech. वो हम लोग
Like
वहाँ
Chinese
का
media
भुगत
is
ही रहे हैं हम लोग.
Chinese government is
Yes,
controlling the
fully
Chinese
controlled.
media. Like
But in
in
India,
we are
in India,
hand
And
the government and we are
on the other
getting
hand, I
kind
would
of
like to
freedom.
give an
So
example of a country like France. There, they have full freedom of speech, and you don't need
Yes.
to
Yes.
like concern about like what you the other one feel. You can
I
express yourself. But
Yes,
in
no,
India,
you are not fully
that
correct,
is
Bhupender.
not
no,
right.
I was
think
talking
my
about
Listen,
opinion,
like,
as per
I
my
was
like,
talking
opinion,
about
as per
France.
my
France.
opinion,
we
no,
are
yes, you are
friends,
we
we
are
are, I think we are
second,
diverging.
and
We
I
are
think a
completely
little.
Yes.
opinion,
different.
India is
We
a
have
very
to
diverse
talk
country.
about the
Yes,
freedom of
right.
speech in India only. So
That is-
I will
Yeah.
give an
Yes,
example in
we should
context to India. We had
like
Yes.
consider the
months
case of
back we
Nupur
had farm
Sharma.
laws,
Nupur
and the farmers
Yeah.
thought
Sharma and
that these
others.
farm laws are not in our
Yes.
favor.
Yes.
So what they
Yes.
did, they
Yes.
Farm-
exercised their freedom of
So-
speech, and thus the
Yes, yes.
farm laws were taken back. So
और
this is a
हाँ,
classic
but ये
example of why
क्लासिक
freedom of speech
एग्जांपल,
is
और इसके बाद
important.
क्या होता है ना, कई बार ऐसा फ्रीडम एक्सप्रेशन के कारण
Like-
बहुत सारा चीज वायलेंट भी हो जाता है,
Violent भी
तो
हो
वो
जाता है।
हमारा
Consider the case of
रीजनेबल रिस्ट्रिक्शन के
Agni
केस में आ जाता है,
Yes.
राइट? बहुत सारे
There are
रिस्ट्रिक्शन हमारे
limitations,
उसमें आ
like,
जाता है, तो वहाँ पे
like,
लिमिटेशंस रखने का, लाइन ड्रॉ
In my
करने का
point
सबसे
of
बड़ा
view,
इम्पोर्टेंट है.
कहाँ
There
कहाँ पे
should
हम
be a
फ्रीडम ऑफ
line.
स्पीच को
In my point- hello?
गलत
Right.
यूज कर रहे हैं, जैसे कि अगर किसी को भड़का रहे हैं तो वहाँ पे हम
Yes.
फ्रीडम ऑफ
That-
स्पीच गलत
in
कर
that
रहे हैं.
case,
अगर
that
किसी
will
के
be
सेंटिमेंट
sedition.
हर्ट कर रहे हैं
Yes.
तो
Government
हेट
भी हम
स्पीच
freedom of speech का
फैलाना,
गलत यूज कर
किसी
रहे हैं.
को हेट स्पीच
Right.
फैलाना या
That
किसी
is
को
why the-
रिलीजियस
that is
सेंटिमेंट्स
not-
को
that is
हर्ट
You are
करना.
saying
absolute
anything
freedom-
which goes against the
absolute freedom
sovereignty
should
and
not be,
integrity of our country
the
or goes
government.
against
Yes.
law and order. So that is not
Very
according to
diverse.
freedom of speech.
Yeah,
Yes,
we have
yes,
right.
yes.
We have right.
It
We
The
have right to
government
express
can
our
take-
thoughts. We have right. We have right to express
But
our thoughts and opinions.
Speech-
Like we
speech
are
comes
here.
under expression.
Like we are here just because of freedom of speech. We are here just because of freedom.
We are discussing this
different
freedom of
opinions.
speech only.
We have yes, we have
Yes,
different opinion on this topic. Just
And-
because of we have freedom of freedom
Yes,
of speech.
yes, and
That is
now
why
also we are
that
discussing
is why
But you
we are
because
cannot
we have the
see,
freedom of
Prabhu,
expression, right?
whatever you are saying,
like
you
we have
cannot
six-
abuse it right now because you cannot hurt my sentiments. There
Yeah,
are
yeah,
limitations.
like-
But
yeah,
you are not
there is
using
some-
it. But
Now-
you are
there is
using
some
it
now
yes,
there-
exactly. There is
now-
some parameters. There's
Like consider
Now
the
that
case
is
of
also
some
not okay,
parameters.
Bhupender, I think.
Playing
Hurting someone's
in the theatre roles.
sentiments, this is also not actually absolute.
actually
Because
everyone-
someone will
everyone-
get hurt or someone will not get hurt. So
Actually,
we
everyone-
need
Everyone also have
rule of law.
responsibility.
Right has been given
Actually,
to us
everyone
by the
have
Constitution,
everyone has
but we
also
should not
responsible what
misuse it.
they are saying.
There should be a
Actually,
fine line between abusing
we are
someone in the name of
responsible
freedom
what we
of
are
speech
Yes.
saying
and
to
using it
others.
to our advantage.
But sometimes
everyone
what
is
we
not
see, Nilendra, I want to say you
not
that government
responsible, so that
misused
they
this
can use the-
exceptional thing in the
Yes,
freedom of
I agree.
expression, and
But-
what government does is for their own
We
political
are-
benefits they
but-
misuse this right. And sometimes what happens is that in politics, what we see that everyone is equal in India, but some people are more equal than other
Yes,
other
we
people.
are-
So
and-
this
and-
is something that is going very wrong.
Because of
I think we are not
because of
discussing
freedom
what
of
are the
speech.
various
in the name of freedom of speech.
Because of
Related to the freedom of speech.
because of freedom of speech, we are also raise our eyes against the unfair means. Because there is so many unfair means are happening to a
Right,
person.
right.
So because
Right,
of
right.
this, we can also raise our issues, our thoughts that there is
I think friends,
unfair means
अंकित सिंह का भी
happening
हमको
to
opinion
and
लेना चाहिए, उन्होंने
NGOs,
कुछ नहीं
not
बोला है।
right for
अंकित
us.
सिंह के बारे में मैं एक
self-help
बार
groups
पूछ लेता हूँ
are
उनका opinion
working
क्या
in
है।
that direction only.
What-
They are working for the
अंकित सिंह आप एक बार
section of the
बोलेंगे अपना
society
points
and
रखेंगे
they're
तो ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा।
raising
we
their
must
voice.
focus on the freedom of expression.
That is
in
because of
India.
freedom of speech
Why are
in
we,
India only.
Yes,
so,
Ankit,
Thank
go
you
on.
for offering me the opportunity.
Ankit, please put your
Yeah.
point.
I don't
And,
think like people are
so as
saying
per
that
my opinion,
freedom of
suppose
speech
we
should
don't
be
have freedom of
absolute
speech.
and we are sitting here discussing everything and all. I am also want to take our views like just because we have freedom of speech doesn't mean we can abuse it, right?
Yes.
Just like we have
yes, I
freedom
totally
to
agree
express
with
ourselves and
agree with you.
people
Like
have
what
got
happened in
trains,
the
etc.,
earlier-
just to express their anger. That is not right.
That
We
is
should
Yes.
vandalization.
We should not turn violent.
That
Like
is
अभी जो
against
हमारे यहाँ पे
law
हुआ
and
है,
order.
इतना
Yes.
सारा प्रोटेस्ट में हमारी ट्रेनें जलाई गई है और
भाई,
कितना प्रॉपर्टी
yeah,
को डैमेज हुआ है, that is not expression ना।
responsibility
It's not
is
true.
even
तुम आप पब्लिक चीज को डैमेज नहीं कर
speech
सकते,
about
तो यहाँ पे
freedom
जो
should be
restriction का
non-violent.
वो बाउंड्री
there
लाइन
should be some ethics in place, right?
Yes,
Even
we
if
have to
the
we have to
institution haven't
we have to
made
respond
about- Yes.
what we are
As
saying
a
actually.
responsible
हम क्या कह रहे हैं
should
उसके लिए
also
रिस्पॉन्सिबल होने
respect
चाहिए।
what-
हमें किसी दूसरे पर्सन के अपने थॉट्स, अपने आइडियाज, अपने विचारों के द्वारा दूसरे पर्सन को हर्ट नहीं कर सकते। इसलिए हमें अपने क्या बोल रहे हैं, हम क्या लिख रहे हैं, उसके लिए हमें रिस्पॉन्सिबल भी होना चाहिए। बिकॉज
this
Right.
going to help in
Yes,
our nation building.
But
And to
because
give
my
an example,
opinion,
few years
suppose
ago,
we
there
don't
was
have
a
a freedom of
university
speech,
in
we
which,
don't have
in the
freedom
name of
speech,
freedom
then
of
there is
speech,
so
there
many
were
type
many
of,
slogans that were raised, which were against the unity and integrity of the country. So those
yeah.
kind of things should not be done in the
But
name of
Should
freedom
not
of
be
speech.
done. Yes,
Yeah,
right.
that
This is not the
Article
freedom of
19
thing
speech.
was
So
against
what,
the
as
government.
per my opinion, it
Also, Also, but there is one more segment to this, that is the hurting the religious sentiments that comes under Article 295A. But because what happens here is that religious sentiments are different for different religion, and India is a diverse country. तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि किसी का sentiments hurt होता है, किसी का नहीं होता है. तो यहाँ पे क्या हम लोगों को क्या religious books के तरफ जाके वो करना चाहिए, या Indian Constitution को ही सबसे आगे मांगना चाहिए?
Indian Constitution should be placed before any religion.
Follow Indian Constitution for everything. इंडिया में क्या होती है कि बहुत सारी कम्युनिटीज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को ना प्रेफर करके अपनी रिलीजियस बुक को ज्यादा प्रेफर करते हैं.
राइट सही बात बोल रहे हो आप. भूपेंद्र, आप क्या बोल रहे थे? मैं सुन नहीं पाया.
मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि जो ये है एब्सोल्यूट क्यों नहीं है, क्योंकि वी आर ए डाइवर्सिफाइड कंट्री, एंड इन डाइवर्सिफाइड कंट्री इफ यू आर लिविंग, सो यू for sure you
society
won't match with each other, your thoughts won't match each other, so
yes,
someone might say something, so there must be a limitation which are
yes, you have to take into account the respect and belief of each community, each religion, because it is a diverse country, so it cannot be absolute.
You cannot be conservative.
As previously our friend mentioned that in
इस religious sentiments के कारण ही हमारे यहाँ पे अभी जो नूपुर शर्मा का जो केस हुआ वो उसी के कारण हुआ है कि बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट ने अपना प्रवक्ता रखा था नूपुर शर्मा को, और उन्होंने ऐसा कुछ कमेंट्स कर दिया that hurted the feelings of the other religion. तो इसमें क्या होता है कि वो क्या सही कमेंट था या गलत था, वो कौन डिसाइड करेगा? वो
that is not the issue.
That be decided by the judiciary, because the judiciary is one which interprets the constitution. What is written in Article 19 and what can be expressed out of it, what is really it is written, the interpretation is done by judiciary. So we should leave that.
Yes, I agree with you इसमें कि अब क्योंकि यहाँ पे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के कारण उनका फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन है, बट इसके कारण कंट्री को बहुत सारे इकोनॉमिक्स लॉस झेलना पड़ता है, क्योंकि अरब कंट्रीज में उन्होंने बॉयकॉट कर दिया. यहाँ पे क्या करना चाहिए फिर?
So this is an example why a country can be affected because of someone's violation, someone's freedom of speech.
It was the Akbaruddin Owaisi. He did the same thing that the Nupur Sharma did, but at that point of time, no one raised the concern. But in that time, Nupur Sharma, at that time of Nupur
But
Sharma,
this time, this was a political drama that was going on.
I think we are getting political. We are deviating.
we shouldn't bring the politics into the debate.
I was giving Nupur Sharma example just for the freedom of expression, how it can also lead to countries' economy का growth कैसे रुक सकता है, वो मैं बताना चाह रहा था, ना कि religious sentiments में जाना चाह रहा था.
जो है मैं एक बात कहना चाहूंगा कि हाउ वी मस्ट यूज फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच. हमें फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच यूज करने के लिए, लोगों को अवेयर करने के लिए, हमें फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच यूज करने के लिए, एजुकेट करने के लिए, हमें एक्सप्रेस करने के लिए, और जो
इससे कितना क्रिएटिविटी आता है ना, सिनेमा में कितना एक्सप्रेस कर पाते हैं हम लोग
I agree with Vipender.
सिनेमा में हम लोग कितना सारा चीज हम लोग एक्सप्रेस कर पाते हैं मूवीज के थ्रू, कितना आर्टिकल्स लिख पाते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि हम लोग कश्मीर के ऊपर हमारे इतना अच्छा फिल्म बना है, वो क्यों कैसे बन पाया? क्योंकि वो फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन था उस डायरेक्टर के पास, इसलिए बन पाया.
To develop and grow as a society, we need to take into account each one's expression and speech. So that is why also it is very necessary for inclusive growth.
And
but sometimes people also violate ना, तो वहाँ पे भी कई सारे example होते हैं, right?
Sometimes people use
discussing about only one
political parties
we should discuss
to appease a community or a particular section of the society or
in what ways the freedom of speech can
freedom
be used for the benefit.
Yes,
or benefit of the society. Basically, we should discuss it that way.
Suppose there is no freedom of speech, like suppose there is no freedom. Suppose there is no freedom of speech, then there is so many ideas and innovations. Because of fears, people are not going to tell us our nation, our youth. So this is very important, because every person has different
one more thing is there. I would like to point it out that sometimes what happens, that like freedom of speech is there, and against it limitations are also there. But what will happen right now?
There should be some parameters.
We have some like norms
that are predefined in the constitution itself.
No. See,
we are also responsible. We are also responsible. Actually, we are also responsible for freedom of speech. What we are writing, what we are speaking to others.
That time,
but Prabhu, everyone is not responsible as of you, because
तो यहाँ पे लाइन कहाँ ड्रॉ करना चाहिए, हम लोग इस पे डिस्कस कर सकते हैं कि लाइन कहाँ ड्रॉ करना चाहिए.
Exactly.
स्पोर्ट्स क्या होता है वहाँ पे, कहाँ पे
जुडिशियरी हमें अलग-अलग रीजन, हमें अपनी बात को ऐसी रखनी है
कि line has been drawn by the constitution itself, because it has given space to curtail these.
Yes, this is very complicated. educated.
line
Like
has
what
been
way
drawn
you
by
be
the
You cannot
Constitution,
defame anyone.
but,
You cannot
I
say
think
anything
that
that
is
point
not
which
under
freedom of speech.
which hampers the law and order.
Anything
So,
against the
okay,
government.
let me ask you.
How many
Let me
I would like
ask
to
you some
highlight
question.
from
Let me
hate
ask you
speech to,
one question.
like,
yes,
One,
ma'am,
I'll
please,
get
yes,
your
ma'am.
opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
One
Yeah.
question. I want to ask that in case of national emergency, should there be restrictions on this freedom of
No,
expression?
there
or
are
not?
no
No,
restrictions.
there should not
No
be
restriction.
restriction
In
in freedom of
1978,
speech
There
in
should be
India.
any
according to the
restriction because
44th Amendment of Indian Constitution, this condition was
No,
removed.
no, should be or not should be, because
That should not be.
sometimes
should
in
not
case of
be.
Everyone
Because
There should not
should
be
be
any.
that's the
restriction
case
only
restriction नहीं होनी
outside.
चाहिए.
because of which the 1975 emergency was considered as a black day, black period
day in the
of
history of
our
India.
yes,
Black Day
correct,
of
but
India.
black period in the history of India.
uh,
Because that time
but
this freedom of
yes,
speech was curtailed basically,
yes, yes, and
all
the rights were confiscated, and also in
Yes.
Northeast also the situation is thus that the people are not getting right to express themselves, and they are detained in their homes. In Kashmir also the same thing is happening.
अच्छा,
So
from here एक क्वेश्चन आता है कि आप लाइन कैसे ड्रॉ करते हो, तो आप पता कैसे करते हो कि आप बोल पाओगे या नहीं बोल पाओगे?
that is clearly defined in
That
the
is what the
Constitution.
Clearly Indian
democracy is
Constitution
for, right?
defines
Clearly
that
that
These
is defined
Article
in
19
Article
clause 1, there are
Article
6
clause-
parts
those
in
cannot
which it is
define
defined.
these, like we have
Then-
various issues. You cannot
yes,
like
yes,
straight on
correct.
draw
I am
line.
agree with Bhupender, but also the religious, when the religious part comes, it becomes more and more sensitive. तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है ना, हर religion का एक जो बहुत ऐसा elite लोग होते हैं और जिसका दिमाग एकदम strong minded होते हैं, उनका opinion जाना था, और
जो
ऐसे
कट्टर होते हैं
let's say
बहुत, वो
They are
अलग लेवल
basically
के
नहीं,
होते हैं।
not
We are
better,
talking
but
about
they
conservative
they are radical people,
There should be
and they were very
logical
logical and
thinking about
reasonable.
this, right?
Yes,
But
yes,
there
and
should be
and not only
अच्छा,
one
from
person,
this
there will be a
logical,
group of
अंकित ने जो कहा कि
But
लॉजिकल,
as
तो
per
उसके लिए
freedom
हमें
of-
एजुकेशन को
Yes.
ज्यादा से ज्यादा प्रमोट करना चाहिए ताकि लोग
That was
एजुकेट
where
हों.
education
हमें
Education and
क्या बोलना
awareness
चाहिए,
is
क्या
one
नहीं.
thing, and for the religious part that Mayank said, government should talk to the stakeholders, which are the big stakeholders of all the religions. So government can tell them to
There are
spread
no
a message
particular
and spread awareness
stakeholders
about
that
them,
are
because there
defined
are a lot of
basically.
followers
Yes,
of those
yes,
people.
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
I think
yes.
we can conclude now. Any one of you
Yes.
can conclude.
I would like to take this opportunity to conclude the group discussion. We had like a very like a good discussion, but everybody put their points, and it was quite like sort of heated, but not that much. And Mayank, who told us that what freedom actually means, that it is where you can express yourself, you can learn, and like that. And freedom is freedom of speech must be used for like educating yourself or contributing in the country's economy. The other thing is that it is used by people who don't know like where to draw a line between when it becomes a hate speech or when it is your right. So that is also discussed. And the other thing was that in right now we in emergency we also have a right to speak. And the other thing is that we must not get involved in like in initiating violence or defaming someone using our hate of speech, and we must not incite people to do bad things, rebel against government. We must use, and the other thing came out is that we must use freedom of speech to protest, like peacefully protest, express yourself, and contribute in the economy. Thank you.
Okay, Bhupender. So let me give you the feedback now. So, agar aap opportunity, if you take the opportunity to conclude, which is the easiest to take, and you can put the things together. Make it a point that you decide in the beginning itself that you will try for conclusion.
Okay.
So for that you need to write couple of things, most relevant things, because if observer finds that you have not summarized all the things, he may give chance to another fellow also, or someone in the team can come up and say, sir, this is not the complete conclusion you have done, you have missed some important points. So that way you may lose your marks. So if you have decided in the beginning that I will conclude, you should be shrewd enough from the beginning to note down the points. Especially there is
ऐसा कंक्लूजन के बाद हम लोग बोल सकते हैं क्या, जैसे उसने अगर कुछ पॉइंट्स मिस कर दिए या और मैंने ऐड करना चाहता हूँ,
आपको परमिशन लेनी पड़ती है ऑब्जर्वर की. आपको कोऑर्डिनेटर से पूछना पड़ता है कि सर आई वांट टू ऐड सम मोर पॉइंट्स व्हिच वर लेफ्ट बाय भूपेंद्र, सो कैन आई डू दैट. So then he gives you permission, but it is risky. It is risky because if you do not add the significant points after that, it will look like you have obstructed the process. So it may give you marks, it may not give you marks, it may even take your marks, right? So this is how it is to be there. So the person who concludes should be very, very cautious that he summarize everything so that a new fellow does not pop in and you get the credit for that. This is very important. Now I start with Nilendra. Nilendra initiated the discussion in the introduction. He said it is a sensitive issue. That is a right point. It is a very important topic, and freedom of speech is our fundamental right, so we can understand the importance of this. At the same time, presently it is in news as it is a very sensitive issue nowadays because of some religious sentiments were hurt because of the misuse of freedom of speech by some people. So friends, I think we should discuss this entire topic in the direction of its meaning itself. That is what Nilendra said. And then what is the need of necessity of this, and then he said what is the applicability of this. So I think need and application and applicability can be one point, and third can be what if we violate it, then what are the repercussions of that. It may be categorized in that. So ये होता क्या है freedom of speech, अगर ये ना हो तो क्या ट्रबल आएगा, और इसकी क्या एडवांटेजेस है, क्यों ये होना चाहिए, ना हो तो क्या ट्रबल आएगा, क्यों होना चाहिए और है क्या. What is freedom of speech? What if there is no freedom of speech or there is a violation of freedom of speech? Why do we need it? Why at the first place it is required? So that is how we can divide this particular entire topic. So I give you, Nilendra, I give you 7 marks in introduction and 7 marks in the body. Mayank spoke in between also today, and so Mayank I'll give you 6.5 in introduction and 7 in the body. So you were talking today in the body, and that participation part is good. You have started participating. So you mentioned about Article 19, reasons and restrictions, sensitive issue it is. You gave the example of China. People don't have freedom of speech. In Nupur case you talked about, and you asked a question also to others. So you were good in body part, but not that good in introduction. Introduction is a structure and a direction. So introduction is to be spoken very meticulously. You have to give a direction, and then and there you have to think what can be the direction, how the discussion should be. क्या discuss करना है यार इसके बारे में, freedom of speech के बारे में क्या बात करना है हम बताओ. तो आपको दिमाग में रखना है कि बात क्या करनी है, what we want to talk about this. अगर मैं तुम्हें बोलूं चलो यार बात करते हैं weather के बारे में बात करते हैं, let's talk about weather. Immediately think कि weather के बारे में क्या बात करनी है. Okay, let's talk about कि weather कितने टाइप का होता है और इंडिया में weather कैसा है और weather से अपने आप को कैसे प्रोटेक्ट रखना है. Let's divide on these lines. So immediately your mind should hit in within a minute कि हमें बात करनी किस लाइन पे है, क्योंकि there can be so many things, right? So डायरेक्शन देने का, डायरेक्शन भी किस बारे में बात करनी है, and that has to be holistic actually, कि जिसमें इंपॉर्टेंट चीज सारी आ जाए.
सर मेरे को एक डाउट था इसमें कि सर मैं कंक्लूजन करने में थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम होता है मेरे को, और तो क्या मतलब, और दिमाग में रहता भी टेंशन अगर कंक्लूजन करने का रहता है सर, तो बॉडी पार्ट में ही ज्यादा फोकस करूं और कंक्लूजन
बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं. बिंदास बॉडी पार्ट में जो आपकी स्ट्रेंथ है उस पे प्ले करो, नथिंग टू वरी. बॉडी पार्ट में बोल सकते हो तो बॉडी पार्ट में बिल्कुल कंट्रीब्यूट करते रहो.
बॉडी पार्ट में हो जाएगा, कंक्लूजन में प्रॉब्लम होता है.
अभी तुम ज्यादा बोल रहे हो बॉडी पार्ट में, बोलो, उसके बाद ये नॉर्मल हो जाएगा. अभी बोल रहे हो थोड़ा ज्यादा बोलो, अग्रेसिवली बोलो, असर्टिवली बोलो, नो इशू, प्रैक्टिस करो, फिर बाद में काम की बात भी हो जाएगी.
ठीक है.
Bhupender को I'll give 6 and 6.5, 6 in introduction, 6.5 there. So I've given 6 to all of you in introduction when I'm not very happy with your introduction. So Bhupender started with the quote, but वो quote Bhupender मेरे को बहुत ज़्यादा relevant नहीं लगा यहाँ पे. अगर आप उसको ढंग से नहीं बोलोगे तो relevant लगेगा नहीं वो. तो आपको उसको बहुत अच्छे तरीके से बताना पड़ेगा कि उसका मीनिंग क्या था, क्या बोलने की ट्राई कर रहे थे आप, कि ठीक है मैं आपको वो देता हूँ लेकिन आपको बोलने का अधिकार होना चाहिए. क्या बोलना है वो अलग बात है, लेकिन आपको उसको एक फ्लो में बोलना है कोट को, अदरवाइज उसका मीनिंग नजर नहीं आएगा. फ्रांस का एग्जांपल आपने दिया और आप भी बीच में बोलते रहे और आपने पार्टिसिपेट किया. तो भूपेंद्र, यू कैन पार्टिसिपेट इन बिटवीन दैट यू हैव, बट यस इंट्रोडक्शन को थोड़ा और स्ट्रक्चर्ड बनाओ, क्लासिफिकेशन की डायरेक्शन में लेके जाओ. अंकित वाज लार्जली नॉट पार्टिसिपेटिंग मच, अंकित वाज पार्टिसिपेटिंग लेस. अंकित, आपको इंट्रोडक्शन में और बॉडी में पार्टिसिपेट करना है. somebody else should not give you chance to participate, you should yourself participate. I give you 6 and 6 body में and introduction में. So in the body you were not talking in the beginning, but later on when Mayank brought you in, I think you started speaking certain things. You can speak Ankit, but you are not speaking. So वो कब होता है, जब आप कॉन्शियस नहीं होते कि मेरे को बोलना है. When you are conscious कि मेरे को बोलना ही है, तब तुम एंटर कर जाते हो, then it is not a problem. Rajat ko I'll give 6 in the introduction and 6.5 in the body. Rajat, you are speaking, you are aggressive. Aggression is not good. आपका जो बोलना है वो थोड़ा सा aggression की तरफ जा रहा है, लेकिन as I told Mayank also, कोई बात नहीं, अभी करो, अभी aggression है तो aggression ही आता रहे, कोई बात नहीं, practice हो रहा है। Actual format में ये नहीं चलेगा, actual format में ये जो तुम बोल रहे हो, इससे ऐसा भी लग सकता है कि तुम किसी को बोलने से रोक रहे हो, तो थोड़ा सा वो inclination हो जाएगा, लेकिन as I told you in the beginning it has to be like that. In the beginning when you start learning the swimming, तो आप बहुत ही ज्यादा एनर्जी वेस्ट करते हो स्विमिंग में, आप बहुत जोर जोर से हाथ पैर मारते हो, लेकिन दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड, एंड द मोमेंट कम्स व्हेन यू बिकम अ स्विमर, एक्सपर्ट स्विमर, तो आप बिल्कुल स्मूथली स्विम कर रहे होते हो, बिल्कुल कम हाथ पैर चलाते हो और बहुत अच्छे तरीके से आगे चलते हो, तो ठीक है, अभी सीख रहे हैं, नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम। सो यू नीड टू बी एग्रेसिव इन द बिगिनिंग, बोलो जैसे भी है, आई विल प्रमोट दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग कि आपको बोलना है, but yes, in the time, with the passage of time, you have to learn. So you started dumping the information in the introduction. 1975 national emergency, fundamental rights were abolished by Indira Gandhi, article 19, amendment of 1978, so you cannot remove article 19 in national emergency. You can remove article 19 in national emergency, you can remove article 352 में वो है, हाँ, लेकिन कुछ है जैसे right to life को नहीं हटा सकते तुम, आर्टिकल 21 जो राइट टू लाइफ है उसको नहीं हटा सकते, 19 हट जाता है, लेकिन नेशनल इमरजेंसी भी 3 ग्राउंड्स पे लगती है, एक एक्सटर्नल एग्रेशन होता है, एक इंटरनल इमरजेंसी होती है,
वॉर,
हाँ,
आर्म्ड रिबेलियन,
आर्म्ड रिबेलियन को अब इंटरनल इमरजेंसी बोलते हैं,
हाँ अभी वो चेंज हो गया,
उसके बेस पे नहीं हटाई जा सकती, तो इनकम्प्लीट इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं देनी है, यू कांट से कि नेशनल इमरजेंसी में फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच को हटाया नहीं जा सकता, वो गलत स्टेटमेंट है। National emergency when it is imposed on the basis of armed rebellion, then freedom of speech is not removed, वो अलग, वो उस पॉलिटी की सही लाइन वो है, तो अगर तुम गलत लाइन बोलोगे तो पकड़ लेगा उसमें, वो सही लाइन नहीं होगा, राइट। सो वो आपने इंफॉर्मेशन ओवरलोड कर दिया उसको, और इंफॉर्मेशन ओवरलोड नहीं होना चाहिए इंट्रोडक्शन में, जनरिक डिस्कशन होना चाहिए, ब्रॉड डिस्कशन होना चाहिए, और डायरेक्शन देनी चाहिए बाकी लोगों को कि क्या बोलना चाह रहे हो, बाकी बॉडी के अंदर डालो, सारे के सारा डाटा डालो बॉडी के अंदर, कोई इशू नहीं इसमें। तो ये रजत आपका था, एंड देन प्रभु, आई विल गिव यू 6 इन इंट्रोडक्शन, एंड देन यू हैव नॉट पार्टिसिपेटेड नाइसली इन द बॉडी, सो प्रभु यू नीड टू स्पीक, आपका पार्टिसिपेशन बहुत ही अब्रप्ट आ रहा था, आप कभी कभी बीच में बोल रहे थे हिंदी में, लेकिन वो अब्रप्ट बोल रहे थे, वो ऐसा लग नहीं रहा था कि बाकियों की बातें सुन के उनका डिस्कस कर रहे हो, ऐसा लग रहा था कि आप अपनी बात रख रहे हो, ये दो में बहुत डिफरेंस होता है, मतलब जब आप बात करते हो दूसरे की बात सुन के, उसको डिस्कशन बोलते हैं जो जीडी में चाहिए, लेकिन जब आप अपनी ही बात बता रहे होते हैं और दूसरा कुछ और है, लेकिन आप अपनी बात बता रहे हो दूसरे को, वो डिबेट हो जाता है, तो डिबेट और डिस्कशन में थोड़ा सा फर्क है, डिबेट जब आप करते हो तो आपको अपनी बात को रखना ही होता है, चाहे कोई सुने चाहे ना सुने, लेकिन डिस्कशन जो होता है उसमें आप दूसरे की बात सुनते हो, अकॉर्डिंगली अपनी बात रखते हो, ये थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस आपको ध्यान रखना है प्रभु, तो आपको दूसरों की बात सुननी है और उसी की डायरेक्शन में उसी के साथ बात करनी, आगे आपको लिंक बिठाना है, ये आपको प्रभु करना है, राइट। रणधीर, आपका भी सेम सिचुएशन है, आपका आई थिंक ऑडियो का कुछ झगड़ा चल रहा है आज, तो आपको भी 6 नंबर मिलेंगे इंट्रोडक्शन में, और बॉडी में भी आप बहुत ज्यादा नहीं बोल पाए, तो हाँ, तो वो थोड़ा सा आपको बोलना है, पार्टिसिपेट करना है, तो बॉडी में जिन लोगों ने नहीं बोला वो रणधीर है, प्रभु है और अंकित है, जिन्होंने नहीं बोला, और बाकी सब लोगों ने बॉडी में बोला है, जैसे भूपेंद्र हो गया, मयंक हो गया, रजत हो गया, नीलेंद्र हो गया, इन्होंने बॉडी में बोला है, बॉडी की वजह से मैं निकाल दूंगा अंकित को, प्रभु को, रणधीर को, ये जीडी से बाहर हो जाएंगे क्योंकि इन्होंने पार्टिसिपेट नहीं किया, रजत बाहर हो सकता है एग्रेसिव बोलने की वजह से, और अंदर रह सकते हैं 3 लोग, भूपेंद्र, नीलेंद्र एंड मयंक अंदर रह सकते हैं, जो क्लियरली अंदर रहेगा वो नीलेंद्र रहेगा, मैंने बताया कि नीलेंद्र का अभी बैलेंस हुआ है कि वो इंट्रोडक्शन, बॉडी और कंक्लूजन वो बोल पाता है, उतना बोलता है जितना बोलना चाहिए, और ऐसा नहीं लगता कि ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट कर रहा है, तो नीलेंद्र का वो फॉर्मेट सही है, जो मयंक क्लोज है, भूपेंद्र भी क्लोज है उस फॉर्मेट को सीखने के, रजत बहुत जल्दी वो सीख जाएगा, रजत बोल रहा है, बोलने में ट्रबल नहीं है रजत को, जो पहली हिंड्रेंस होती है ना वो ये होती है कि मुंह नहीं खोल रहा है भाई साहब, पहली बार तुम्हें मुंह खोलना एक ट्रबल होती है कि मुंह तो खोल भाई साहब, तो 2-3 जीडी तो मुंह खोलने में लग जाते हैं, जो रजत ने खोल लिया है, अब उसके बाद मुंह खोलने के बाद मुंह को ढंग से खोल यार, वो दूसरा चैलेंज होता है कि मुंह तो खोल लिया, अब इसको ढंग से खोल कि अच्छी बात निकले, काम की बात निकले, रेलिवेंट बात निकले, ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन ना हो, वो दूसरा चैलेंज है, जो अभी मयंक के ऊपर है, रजत के ऊपर है, और भूपेंद्र थोड़ा थोड़ा कॉशियस होके बोल रहा है, तो भूपेंद्र को थोड़ी एनर्जी लेवल एनहांस करनी है। रणधीर अंकित प्रभु को अभी बोलना है, प्रभु को कंटिन्यूअसली बोलना है, अभी थोड़ा थोड़ा अब्रप्ट बोल रहा है प्रभु। अब मेरे को तो ये भी नहीं पता कि प्रभु 2 लाइन बोलने के बाद मेरे को लगता है ब्रेक डिनर करने चला जा रहा है, फिर दोबारा आ रहा है, फिर दोबारा 2 बात बोल रहा है। सो दैट आल्सो इज समथिंग लाइक मी ओनली, दैट इज हाउ आई डू।
सर बहुत लोग बात कर रहे तो एक्चुअली अपना पॉइंट रख नहीं पा रहा था,
तुम्हें बोलने
कोई खा ले रहा था।
हाँ, तुम्हें बोलते रहना, जैसे रजत से सीखो। रजत तुमसे एक स्टेप आगे निकल गया अभी। रजत क्या है कि निकल तो तुम दोनों ही बाहर जाओगे जीडी से, लेकिन क्या है कि रजत तुमसे एक लाइन आगे चला गया अभी, वो बोल रहा है, उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ता कोई सुन रहा है नहीं सुन रहा है, बोल रहा है। और तुम्हें वही करना है, पहले स्टेज में तुम्हें ये चिंता नहीं करनी कोई सुन रहा है कि नहीं सुन रहा है, आपको बोलना है बस। फिर दूसरी स्टेज आ जाएगी जिसमें तुम सुनना स्टार्ट करते हो कि यार बोल तो मैं लेता ही हूँ, मैं सुन भी लूं क्या बोल रहा है अगला। फिर तुम बहुत ही स्मूथ हो जाते हो, फिर तुम स्मूथ हो जाते हो कि तुम्हारी बात ही सारे सुनना स्टार्ट कर देते हैं। अल्टीमेट वो चीज होती है कि तुम कम बोल रहे हो, थोड़ा बोल रहे हो, लेकिन तुम सेंटर ऑफ अट्रैक्शन हो जाते हो ग्रुप की पूरी, क्योंकि सारे ग्रुप को पता होता है कि हमारे में एक सियाना आदमी बैठा हुआ है जो बात बोल रहा है, उसकी सुननी चाहिए हमें बात। फिर वो लास्ट स्टेज होती है, लेकिन वो स्टेज बेसिकली लास्ट में आती है जब तुम बहुत अच्छे ओरेटर बन जाते हो, तुम्हारे पास नॉलेज भी होता है और तुम काम की बात भी बोलते हो और तुम जितनी चाहिए उतनी बात बोलते हो। उस स्टेज की रिक्वायरमेंट भी नहीं है। पीएसयू को वैसे लोग भी नहीं चाहिए इतने सियाने, तो पीएसयू को लोग चाहिए जो बोल सकें और रेलिवेंट बात बोल सकें, उतना उनको रिक्वायरमेंट है। So this is all in this particular case. Now ये जो टॉपिक था ना, जैसे फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच इन इंडिया, so this is actually very interesting topic, important topic, because it is related to our fundamental rights, and in the fundamental rights are the most important articles in Indian Constitution, and they are related to the freedom of citizens. So this is very important topic, and it is in news nowadays because of misuse of freedom of speech, and hence it is a very sensitive issue because it is linked with the misuse of the freedom of speech on the basis of the religious sentiments of people. So it was in news. So friends, I think it's a very good that we are going to discuss about it, and we should discuss it on 3 heads. One is we should understand the meaning of it, where in the constitution it is mentioned, and what is the relevance of that for citizens. Number 2, we should discuss that what if we do not have freedom of speech, what problem will come, what is the freedom of speech, and what if we don't have then, and if we violate, then what is going to be there. And third is why these are necessary, why these are important, and what the role they play in the life of individual. So we should discuss on these 3 lines. So uske baad aapne introduce kar diya, then you define that friends, as you know, part 3 of Indian Constitution, there are article 12 to 35. Part 3 of Constitution has article 12 to 35, which are 6 fundamental rights. Out of these 6 fundamental rights, one of the fundamental right is freedom of speech, which is mentioned under article 90. Now, this is not absolute fundamental right. Not absolute means it can be it can be avoided by the government. Government can control it. Government may restrict this freedom of speech during certain situations, which we call emergency situations. So it is not absolute in itself. That means there are checks and balance on it. So freedom of speech can be controlled by government if national security and public order is in danger or something like that. So it is not absolute. That means every citizen should know its restriction. The limit of my nose ends where your nose starts. मेरे नाक की लिमिट वहां खत्म होती है भाई साहब जहां आपका नाक स्टार्ट होता है. ये बेसिकली सिंबॉलिक मीनिंग है. दैट मींस माय फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, यू आल्सो हैव फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच. So you also have freedom, I also have freedom. So our freedom should be within a particular limitations. That is very important. And when we exercise freedom of speech given to us by constitution, we should not hurt somebody's sentiments. It should not lead to the problem in public order. It should not lead to national security issues. That should not be there. And within that limit, we enjoy the freedom of speech. That is the meaning of it. Now we see that during national emergency, these freedom of speech and all these are restricted, but eventually individual citizens should not misuse this freedom of speech. I would like to give some example, friends. Recently what happened, one of the spokesperson of national political party, she spoke something against community, and that led to the trouble for even Indian relation with other nations, because other nations raise this objection, and that is something which brings not a good thing, because India is world over, India is respected for being the largest democracy, and in the democracy everybody has the equal rights. So we do not give importance to one particular community compared to another. So every community should enjoy equality, and there's the reason these fundamental rights are provided to everyone. So we should behave in that particular limitation. So that is how it has to be there. So freedom of speech is very important because they are our fundamental right. And the citizen, how do you know some particular country is democracy is working or not? It is on the basis of the fundamental rights given to the citizens of that country. You talk about any country in which democracy is not there today. You talk about China, you talk about North Korea, talk about Pakistan, you talk about any country in which there's an autocracy, citizens do not enjoy fundamental right. So when we talk about the free countries, independent countries, good countries, like America, England, or India, so you talk about the fundamental rights people have got. So when people get fundamental rights, they are supreme. And in our constitution, it is written, we the people of India have given constitution to ourselves. That means we the people of India are supreme. So we should have independence, we should have freedom. And this is in that line, freedom of speech is important. But we should know our restrictions. We should not misuse this so that they are curtailed. So if we start misusing it, this will be curtailed obviously. So we should behave as a mature citizen. On these lines, I think it should be discussed. बाकी मैंने आपको जो वीडियो भेजे हैं उनको सुनना स्टार्ट करो, उसकी लाइन में थोड़ा तैयारी स्टार्ट करो. ये जितना जीडी के टॉपिक्स आपको मैं भेजता हूं, इनका मतलब होता है कि ये इंपॉर्टेंट हैं, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, तुम्हें सोचना है और तुम्हें फिर उनके बारे में कॉपी में नोट्स बनाने हैं. अब जितना ज्ञान मैंने यहाँ पे तुम्हें दिया या तुम्हें वीडियो के थ्रू मिला या आप लोगों ने यहाँ ज्ञान बांटा है, उसको कॉपी में उतारो एक पेज में कि अगर फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच पे टॉपिक पे कुछ आएगा तो हमें क्या लिखना है, हमें फंडामेंटल राइट, और फिर ये याद होता जाएगा तुम्हें. आज हमने बात की है फंडामेंटल राइट्स की, आज हमने बात की कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की, आज हमने बात किया है इन इंफॉर्मेशंस की, आर्टिकल्स की बात की है, तो वो उनको कॉपी पे नोट कर लो तो आपका एक टॉपिक तैयार हो जाता है. और जब आप ऐसे 20-50 टॉपिक कर लेते हैं, बिलीव मी, यू आर रेडी फॉर डिस्कशन. ये तो होता है जिसको थोड़ा बहुत नॉलेज है वो 4 आदमी में बैठ के बात कर लेगा. एंड दिस मच नॉलेज वी नीड टू हैव. और उसके लिए कोई ऐसा नहीं कि जनरल स्टडीज या करंट अफेयर्स बहुत ज्यादा आपको क्लासें अटेंड करनी है. नो, इट इज डे टू डे व्हाट लर्निंग वी हैव डे टू डे. एंड वी आर लकी टुडे दैट वी हैव फ्री फ्लो ऑफ द इंफॉर्मेशन. एंड बस उसमें ये है कि YouTube पे तुम्हें नहीं पता लगेगा मैं क्या सुनना चाहता हूँ, तो दैट एक्टिविटी आई एम डूइंग, दैट यू लिसन टू दीज वीडियोस and then listen to what we say, and that crux you should write in your copy. But if you don't write notes in the copy, believe me, you will have no knowledge. If you're not making notes, you will have no knowledge. Making notes is important, and then participation in discussion is important. These two things are important. So all from my side. Now anything you want to ask or tell?